So this is my 500th video. Of course not my 500th video I've recorded ever, which is something I'll talk about next year, but this is my 500th video on this channel, and I wanted to tell that story I was going to tell in full, because I never finished it, and I don't want to split it into parts, and then procrastinate on the last part, and then never make it. So I'm just going to tell the story in a more condensed form, and not keep going on with one subject forever. I know this video is going to get really horrible viewer retention, but this is about me and not some gameplay in the background. So here's the story. Back in November of 2023, my mom had to have a surgery to get a cyst removed, and everything was going normal. I did have some trouble in my life beforehand. There was this job that I ended up losing. I did get a job at this place, which is probably so far the best job I've had. In fact, there is no probably. It is the best job I've had. But on the day of the surgery, I go to the hospital. I didn't want to sit there and wait, so I went back home. Later on, I come back, but my mom's in recovery, and I couldn't sit there because I needed to be at work, so my uncle, who will become relevant later, comes and picks her up while I'm at work. Now, over the next few days, she would end up becoming sick, and one morning my sister comes up. I was asleep, and she woke me up at like 3 a.m., and she kept saying something about how mom's sick and I need to take her to the hospital, or I need to convince her to go to the hospital. So I go in there, she's puking and everything. Apparently beforehand, I didn't witness this, but she did call EMS, but I wasn't there to see that. So she eventually decides I'm going to go to the hospital, and we go to the hospital. And, you know, she's still puking. I keep having to get those bags out of the cabinet. Something's clearly wrong. After a while, after a bunch of tests, we eventually get some pretty shocking news. At first, it wasn't apparent what was going on, because we were just now... I was in shock at the time from all of this already. Something's going on with her kidneys. They're trying to fight something, and they need to move her to a hospital about 45 minutes south of us, or else she's gonna die. So, and I still remember standing there looking through those doors and watching them take her off. So I go home, because that's all I can do, and tell my sister, hey, this happened. And, you know, I'm in shock. I'm kind of, oh, what's gonna happen now? So two children at the time go 45 minutes south to a completely different town to go see my mom in the hospital. And at the time, there were no confirmations, but I had my suspicions, like maybe they did something wrong with the surgery, or this is just something completely that just came up. And eventually we would go back home. But my uncle, the one who took her home from the hospital during the first surgery, I think he went home with us. I'm not really sure. I don't remember that well. And my mom did have another surgery that day to kind of fix something with her bowels. Apparently there's some dead bowel or something. And on our next visit, my aunt and uncle. Now, this uncle is a different uncle. There's the one that owns the car shop, and the one who, I don't know what he does in life. They show up on our next visit to the hospital, and they come home with us, and they kind of become our parents for a while. Now, during this time, and this is probably the saddest part of the story, if you didn't know, I had this cat named Thunderbolt. I had her for like 7 years. She had a sister named Elsa that I still have. But she just went missing. I never found her. I have my suspicions that My uncle might have done something with her. Um, Speaking of suspicions, those suspicions of something going on with the surgery, I still have those because, like, oh, what if it's true and then we can sue them and get a bunch of money and get out of the situation. But I'll talk about that later. Now, it's around this time, about the start of December of last year. They actually have to move her to another hospital in the same town, though, because she needs to go on dialysis. Whatever they're doing isn't enough. They needed to do something. Things were getting bad. She was pretty much dying at this point. We did end up finding out that either my aunt or my uncle went behind our backs and approved a DNR, which we're still not happy about. And, like, how could things possibly get any worse? Well, out of nowhere, my uncle, the one who's staying with us, has a heart attack. And, he's not available. His wife's not available. I think that's not his wife. It's my aunt. I don't know what the relationship is. But then my other uncle, the one who owns a car shop, shows up. And he wasn't with us for a very long time because one night me and my sister were arguing over something. It's not really important what it was, but I ended up saying something weird, like something about this, even if I have to hurt you, which I really wasn't going to do. But then I guess my sister called my uncle. He came over and tried to talk to us, and then she ended up staying at his house for the night. But the next day I was at Walmart, and I got a call from her. She was saying something about, oh, they're going to take us, they're DCS this, DCS that. And if you don't know what DCS is, it's the Department of Child Services, which you know how they are. Or at least I hope you don't know. I hope you've never had to deal with them. So I go home, no one's there. I get another call. This time my sister has someone from DCS telling me that the judge ordered something about how we needed to be put somewhere because there was no adult in the house. And initially my thought was, I'm going to run down to the town my mom's in the hospital and tell her what they're doing to us. But I ended up turning back because I just realized it was just going to get me in trouble. So I had to deal with it. While they were in the process of moving us, I called my uncle, and turns out this was all his fault. He set this all up. I guess he's the one that reported us, and, he just wanted to teach me a lesson. So I ended up getting moved about 30 minutes, I believe it's 30 minutes west of where I live, to a place that, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to call the Refuge. Now, while at the Refuge, in my first few days, my suspicions were eventually confirmed that something did go wrong with the surgery. I believe I was told there was someone nicked her intestine, like there was a cut in it. But now on to more about the Refuge. There was a time to get up, there was a time to go to bed, there was breakfast, there was lunch, there was dinner, and I was just waiting, and at this point, and still, till who knows how long, my whole life has been waiting. Now my sister, me and her, we didn't really get along in there, but eventually she got lucky and got the leave because my aunt, not the same one that's tending to my uncle who had a heart attack, but another aunt of mine, was able to take my sister in, and she lives like 2 hours up north. But she couldn't take me in. The reason isn't really that important, but she just couldn't. So I was waiting. I was in there for a total of 5 weeks. And in the final days, I started getting texts from some number that I didn't recognize. They kept sending me a bunch of stickers about I love you, and I finally realized that this was Mom, and she had, I guess, woken up from the coma that she was apparently in, and she was really confused at the time. She was saying she was getting discharged when she wasn't, but eventually she got moved to a place even further, kind of like southwest of us. She was there for about a week, I think, maybe a little longer. But she did eventually get out of that hospital and was able to return home. And now that I think about it, there's something that I was going to put in this video that I'm looking at right here that for some reason I didn't put there. And that's something I like to call the McDonald's incident, which I'll probably make into a whole nother video, because that deserves its own video. So, after this whole incident, I just can't get this. I'm never going to forget what happened to us. I mean, all I can call it is trauma. Now we're all back together, but my mom's permanently scarred, literally. She has a big scar running down her chest. That's never going to go away. My cat's never going to come back. I'm never going to forget what I had to go through. Then I was getting pushed around. But the good thing now is that we do have confirmation that something went wrong with the surgery, so, you know, we've already started going after them. Anyways, one more thing. I wanted to explain something that I made a video on a few days ago. There's this video called, like, Malpractice Jokes Compilation. Those jokes stem from this whole incident about these characters suing someone and then getting money and then going somewhere. Which, of course, that is going to happen one day, but who knows when that's going to happen. And if you've been reading my community posts, I keep referring to some way out of the situation, and that's what I'm referring to, is this lawsuit. We haven't heard anything from them in a while, but we're just waiting, and hopefully we hear something soon. It's good that I finally got this video out, because I had a few videos I wanted to make, but I didn't want to make them because it would make this not the 500th video. So that's about it. I'm sorry this video is like 11 minutes long now, but that's the whole story in very small detail, but that's what happened. Bye.